Welcome to Rising Stars, where Miriam Knight, publisher of New Consciousness Review, interviews exciting new voices in the world of progressive and transformational books, films, and ideas, who offer intriguing perspectives on life, the universe, and everything in between. Join us as we celebrate the conscious awakening and explore many expressions of consciousness in action.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. I'm Miriam Knight. In a bit of a departure from the authors and filmmakers I normally interview, my guest today is Dr. Dean Clark. He's a chiropractor who was the Olympic track team chiropractor for 4 Olympics, and he's a pioneer in the use of energy medicine in the treatment of pain. He was one of the first chiropractors in this country to use low-level lasers and thermal imaging in his practice. And today we're going to discuss a product that he has created called Bolt Tape. It's a sports and pain treatment tape that is so effective that I knew I had to bring him on the show. Welcome, Dr. Clark.
Well, it is a pleasure to be on your show with you, and thank you so much for having me on today.
Well, you know, you just made such a difference to my husband that I was astonished at the product that you had developed, and I really had thrown up my hands at conventional medicine because he was in such pain and all they had to offer was ice and drugs. And this is not the kind of thing that really solves the problem. And you were an absolute godsend. In fact, I have been telling everybody I come into contact with about you, and now I want to tell the wider world because this is something really, really special. So let's start with telling our listeners something about your background. Your practice is called the Comprehensive Pain Clinic of Portland. How did you come to specialize in relieving pain?
Well, I've been in practice about 32 years now, and the conditions and problems that people see and are experiencing now in our very stressful world have had a tremendous impact. And as I say many times, pain changes everything. And my original interest was, of course, athletics and athletes. But when I looked at the greater population, their needs are no different than many of the athletes, although people will say, well, I'm no Olympic level person. How could I, have benefit by seeing a sports medicine doctor? Well, we see that athletes are oftentimes a cross-section of conditions that everyday people and weekend warriors suffer as well. So in my experience on, as you mentioned, 4 Olympic teams, and again, I feel very honored with that experience, people have the same conditions many times that Olympic-level athletes do. They just simply don't run as fast or jump as high.
Okay, so you have made a slight departure from conventional medicine. You've been really much more open to the kind of holistic therapies that we are very open to on this show and with our authors.
Yes.
What made you take that extra leap?
I have always been intrigued with the energy of the body, using kinesiological muscle testing, using the body's own kind of information and electrical potential to reveal its needs. So many people have experienced people who have challenged different products, supplements, foods, whatever, to their kind of energetic system, their body's energies, and found that if it was a negative response, that was not a good choice for you to consume. And if it was a positive response, probably greater than 95% of the time, you are going to get a good reaction and a good response of the body in healing, and or you feel better. So taking that and using those principles, it made sense that in every malady that we suffer as human beings, whether it be an injury or an illness, there is a change in energy of the body, of the system, and it's just one of our adaptive responses to injury or illness. And so I was seeing this and measuring it with my technology. It's sometimes called thermography. The new word is infrared imaging. But with that kind of process, we can see the inflammatory response of the body and ultimately work to correct it. So my interest really started with injuries that were consistent with athletic injuries, which then ended up being on everyday people. And if you can solve everyday pain and problems, then you've given people a much better quality of life. And that's what we're all seeking. And yet the fascination that I have with it is that we are constantly all adapting to our environment, our nutrition, our hydration, and our stresses. So whether they be emotional and or physical, those kinds of conditions are constantly what our body's trying to rebalance. And I just found that fascinating to start looking at it from a holistic viewpoint, not just a simple small explanation.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So what is actually happening in the body when we feel pain? You mentioned inflammation. Is that the underlying mechanism?
That is certainly one. But the body sets up pain as a warning sign. And what we have is this relay system. It's an early warning system. Pain oftentimes is associated and commonly related to inflammation, but it can be separate as well. But once we see a pain pathway that's set up, we have pain messages to our system, and we only sense and feel approximately 6% of the pain that's actually being sent. So the rest of us, the rest of our body ignores that pain sensation, and it tries to adapt. Yeah, very much so. So, well, we're trying to constantly then adapt to those pain messages, but unfortunately, we'll have to ask our Creator one day, why did you oversend so many messages to guard and protect us, and ultimately then our body overprotects us, which then creates a pain pathway that sometimes we don't need. Yeah.
Well, so you use thermography or infrared imaging to identify the areas of pain. You also, certainly on my husband, you used a laser. What does the laser actually do?
Well, this is now a very common device in a lot of practices, that it actually puts a form of energy into the body. It's still an electromagnetic energy, and one you can't see and one you can't feel most of the time. So the energy that's placed into a cell and or tissues that are damaged help rebalance that injury site and the message that the body is in pain. So the brain to the injury is got a pathway that gets set up, and we sometimes call it the pain pathway. And that pathway is there to protect us, but not. But unfortunately, as I said just moments ago, it overprotects and sometimes puts out of this protective mechanism into the system that keeps that pain perpetuated long after it's needed. And that's many times what us practitioners are trying to neutralize and rebalance.
Well, it not only keeps the pain going, but I know that from my own experience that we tend to adopt, let's say, postures or guarding mechanisms in order to avoid the worst of the pain, and that kind of sets us up for other problems like knee problems and hip problems and so on, or back issues. So one thing is to go to visit your friendly local chiropractor and get an adjustment and maybe get a laser treatment, but you can't do that all the time. And that's why I got so excited about your tape. Tell us a little bit about it.
Okay. Well, I my background in the energy, we'll call it energy medicine realm, was for some 5 years I was doing clinical research on energy medicine products. And I was proving that there was a physiological response, a measured scientific response to energy medicine that was applied to the body. And my original products were little patches that were applied to the body that were quite small and didn't last that long. They sometimes popped off within a few hours. But nonetheless, I was measuring a clear response that was beyond, if you will, a just thought or feeling of change. It was the infrared imaging and pain levels were measured, and we were finding there was clearly a change in both of those measurements, which makes it now, quote, science. There's data that can be now created from those. So from that experience, I realized that we had a...
You know what? That is the signal for our first commercial break. And
Okay.
I just want to remind our listeners that we're speaking with Dr. Dean Clark about his new product called Bolt Tape. His website is bolttape.com. Stay with us, and we will be right back with lots more fascinating information.
Your conscious lifestyle on steroids. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Humanity Healing International is a small nonprofit with a big dream. Since 2007, HHI has been working tirelessly to bring help to communities with little or no hope. Our projects are not broad mandates, nor are they overnight solutions, but they bring the reassurance that no one is alone and that someone cares. To learn more, please visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Hi everyone, this is Shay Parker, the host of Best of the Best, which airs live right here on IOM Radio every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Pacific. I'm super excited to bring you expert guest hosts, spiritual discussions, free psychic readings, and so much more. I can promise that you will not want to miss this one-of-a-kind, fun, yet touching, down-to-earth show. Join us every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Pacific on OTR-FM. This is Shay Parker, and I can't wait to see you there.
I am Fidel Nshambo. I was born in a city called Bukavu in the Congo. We were a loving family, and then, boom, everything that I had disappeared in a single day. People think that when you are a refugee and they resettle you to America and all your problems are done. They don't understand that that's the beginning of everything. I was not born a refugee. I was made one.
It's time we welcome refugee families with open arms. Learn more at embracerefugees.org, brought to you by the Ad Council.
Welcome back. I'm Miriam Knight speaking with Dr. Dean Clark. So we were speaking about the development of the tape products. All new developments have to go through this kind of laboratory phase. Tell me how you proceeded from your original version.
Well, I was, again, doing research for other medical products and I was publishing, and it was very exciting stuff. Anybody who's done research knows it's arduous work, and painstakingly controlling kind of the right environment and making sure all the processes are done precisely. But I just got always fascinated with the response that people had with the proper change of energy, the healing that would occur, and also to the mental, emotional states as well. So I was interested in building, if you will, an energy, if you will, solution that could be applied to the body and in some form change the direction of the energetics of the body. So a rebalancing is really the term I want to be clear about. Many people get concerned about, well, what if you put a piece of this energy on the body, and will it anesthetize me so I can't feel the pain I normally should? And the fascinating thing about, if you will, low-level energy sources such as bolt tape, when applied to the body, it will correct those things that need to be corrected and leave the rest of the processes alone. And it's a phenomenon I can't describe other than the body is kind of designed to rebalance itself if it gets the right wavelength and frequency. And it was about a 5-year process where I experimented with different wavelengths and frequencies and different sources of energy. Where can we get the right source of energy to capture it, put it into a liquid, and then apply it to the body in some fashion? And sport tape, the kinesio tape that is very popular now with athletes, seemed to be the perfect start for this. And I was fascinated by how many Olympic athletes were wearing it, and it had all the qualities that I was seeking. As an example, you put it on, and it stays on the body through exercise and multiple showers and workouts and so on for up to a 5-day period. So it seemed like it would bring value to a product that if you energized it, put it on the body, now you had some rare time that allowed you to continually get this energy and this healing energy to help rebalance the system and keep it rebalanced. So that's
now you say
kind of the,
you say energizing the tape. I mean, you kind of slide right over that. That's quite an innovation to actually encapsulate a form of energy that can affect the body and into a solution that you then impregnate into this tape, and it keeps on working. I mean, that's astonishing. How did you conceive of it?
Well, this is going to sound rather corny, but I literally had angels speak to me at night and say, all right, I'm awake at night. I'm thinking, how can I do this? I know it's there. And I had this kind of thought come into my mind. I'm more of an applications guy. How can I get this muscle or this joint to work better? But it became a biochemistry kind of problem to solve. And I would get these thoughts about, well, place this with this, and I did. And that evolved and continued to evolve, and finally I got a solution that was really stable and would hold energy. So I don't mind explaining a little bit further what that meant. I took minerals that are essential to our health, and I found a solution to put them in the form of natural oils. And then I also found that homeopathy could be added to this whole mix. So you've got proven traditional homeopathic remedies that were added to minerals, and then the quote secret sauce also was hyper-energized with a patented way that, again, I just was led to experiment, find a way to hyper-energize this solution, and that is what's carrying the energy to help heal, stop pain, interrupt it, and to increase, if you will, physical performance, if you will, better muscular contraction with an energy source that is completely natural and not absorbed.
Mm-hmm. You were actually using this with your Olympians to improve performance, weren't you?
That's correct. When I was in Rio for the latest Olympic Games, I was able to have access through. I was actually. It's fine for me to discuss. I worked under the hospitality center that Nike had provided. So they have a center, they called it the Nike House, and here athletes from around the world who were wearing Nike for the Olympic Games and or training with them were invited to this center where they were offered lots of great food, brand new equipment, uniforms, things to wear during the Olympic Games. Then I was part of a small medical group that we were offering treatment to, simply put, the best athletes in the world. And they get oftentimes a one opportunity in a lifetime to compete at this level. And so my responsibility was to help them have the very best performance health we could offer them and put them on the competitive line with everything working at its optimum, every muscle, every joint, every function of that body that we could do to help them get ready. That was our responsibility. And so I was able to put this on a number of athletes, and I counted some 10 medalists who somewhere in the process of either before, during, or after wore the tape. And although it didn't make news because of the sponsorships that were already offered to other products, other tape products that were not the same, they were just plain tape, not energized tape, I wasn't able to speak about it or make any light of that. But nonetheless, it gave me personal satisfaction to know I had given those athletes a very safe, legal, competitive advantage that the others didn't.
Did it have a swoosh on it?
It did not. No, I was strictly. It had a bolt tape. Some of them had bolt tape logos on it, but because of the whole sponsorship thing, I was very careful and used mainly plain tape. Didn't have any logos on it at all. That way, it was not in violation of any sponsorship issues and that sort of thing. Yeah.
Well, I went to a luncheon with friends yesterday, and something told me that I needed to pop some of these tapes into my handbag. And I happened to be sitting next to someone who was walking with a cane and had all kinds of problems. So I told her about you and the tapes, and I said, "Do you have any pain right now?" So she said, "Yes, my wrist." So I just wrapped a strip around her wrist, and she was astonished that within minutes the pain went away, and everybody around the table heard all about it. So we have a whole bunch of new converts for you, Dr. Clark. So there.
You couldn't be more gracious and delightful, so thank you for that. And, I oftentimes am struck with the kind of the consistency of the product and how well it seems to work. And I'm oftentimes asked, okay, well, if you were to offer a percentage of response, what would that be? And I feel very confident that it's about a 90 to 95% response rate. And I'll define that as saying that there can be this miraculous change like you've just described, or there can be a change in pain levels. Say you've got a pain level of 4 or 5, well, it'll take it down to 2 or 3. I still consider that a positive response rate. So we're faced with a world of, if you will, baby boomers that are aging. We are all hurting more. And so what I think we're all looking for is safe, effective products that can help us through sorenesses that, well, we're now offered over-the-counter meds for. And but they're not without side effects. And it's very nice to be able to offer a product that has few side effects. Some people are sensitive to the tape adhesive, and that is a very rare condition, but it does happen. And then there's people who have either a poor hydration level or poor mineral content in their own bodies, which can affect the effectiveness of the tape as well. So those are the biggest issues that we face. But short of that, I felt very good about the safety of the product, that it's applied to the skin, which, again, I probably ought to define that even the solution that's applied to the tape is not on the tape so it's absorbed through the skin like on the adhesive. It's actually applied to the top of the tape. So it creates an energy source, an energy field that heals rather than something that's absorbed. And that's a tough concept for us Western thinking people.
Indeed, and I can testify that I have used the tape because I only had a few samples. I didn't want to peel off the backing, so I just put it against my body, and it was just as effective. So we are hearing, we're hearing the music again. That means we have another break, and then we'll be right back with Dr. Dean Clark.
Free your mind with OMTimes Radio, IOM FM.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free, ascendinghearts.com.
Grab a cup of tea or a glass of wine and tune in for Inspired Conversations with publisher Linda Joy on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern. Linda creates sacred space for leading female luminaries, empowering authors, heart-centered female entrepreneurs, coaches, and healers. A soulful venue where guests openly share the fears and obstacles they've overcome, wisdom and lessons learned, and the personal journey that led them to the transformational work they do in the world. Inspired Conversations to empower you on your path to authentic, soulful living.
Sparky the Fire Dog here. Make sure your family has a fire escape plan, and they practice it twice a year. One important thing to practice is get low and go. If you see or smell smoke, it's important to get low and go. Protect your family from fire. For more information, visit sparky.org.
We want to keep you, your family, and your community safer from fire. This message brought to you by the National Fire Protection Association and your local fire department. Visit sparky.org.
Welcome back. I'm Miriam Knight speaking with Dr. Dean Clark. Dr. Clark, your practice website is what?
We call it Comprehensive Pain Clinic of Portland.
Mm-hmm. And the URL, if somebody looks for you?
Yeah, is pdxpainclinic.com. pdxpainclinic.com. So those of you who are not from Portland, PDX is the code for the airport here. So pdxpainclinic.com. Yes.
Right. And also the website for finding out more about the tape is bolttape.com.
That's correct.
So we were talking about the the joys of getting older and having pain pop up all over the place. You had told me that musculoskeletal pain often appears as pain referred from other areas, such as internal organs. Tell us more about that.
This is one of the most fascinating components, I think, of our human existence, and that there's been a number of books related to this subject that have certainly identified it, and we all know it exists. The organs are your body's second brain, and there was a work that was done on that topic, and I don't remember the author, but I read his work, and he identified there was a specific hormone that he felt was most responsible for the body's response to stresses and so on. But what I find clinically is that there is probably the majority of people suffer from pain that is generated from organs of the abdomen. And what's very fascinating to me is that I put my theory to the test of some of the world's best athletes, and I found that there was not one exception to this rule of the Olympic athletes having one or more organs that were not diseased, they were not cancerous, but they were distressed. That's the best term I can come up with. And it created then a classic organ-to-muscle response. And I'll give you an example. There was probably one of the world's best high hurdle athletes. He was the reigning silver medalist from the last Olympic Games. Came into the Nike Center with a hamstring problem that was just unrelenting. So he had been to all of the other therapists, and people had beat on him and pounded on him and thrown every device possible on the hamstring. So when I started looking at why this guy was in pain from a, if you will, more holistic look, we discovered that he had a small intestine that was distressed. He didn't run far enough to create like a cramp or a soreness. But when I touched his abdomen, and when we were looking for an explanation of why this hamstring was sore, we found that organ to be exquisitely sore when touched. And then I'd ask him a couple of questions that seemed completely unrelated to him, but when he thought about it, it made perfect sense. Had he felt winded and less energetic, and was his breathing influenced, even though he was a sprinter and he only had to run about 15 seconds in his race? Was it troubling him? And he thought about it, and he realized, you're right, I do feel like I can't ever catch my breath. So what we found is that the organ itself, the small intestine itself, had gone into this kind of distress response. It was tight, it was sore, and when you touched his abdomen, he was very tender. And we linked it to the hamstring problem that he had. So he had this distress in his gut, that had sent the, if you will, neurological message back to his spinal cord. It went down the spinal cord, out the sciatic nerve, and into the hamstring muscles, and there it sat and was not changing because that was the real symptom of his problem, not the real cause. So what we did was perfect, over my last 30 years in practice, I've perfected a form of abdominal massage. And by that, I was able to find out which direction the organ needed to be, if you will, moved and changed. And we literally put hands on him and did this form of massage to his abdomen, which relieved the gut and ultimately shut off the hamstring pain.
Wow. Well, that's so interesting that you took the time to really look into what was happening in his whole body. And did you use kinesiology to identify the area?
I did. I used kinesiological muscle testing. Should I explain that? Is that something the listeners already know about, or?
I think probably most of them do, but go ahead and just give us the
well,
explanation.
Yeah, I'll just be brief. If you take any muscle that's functional and strong, and you touch something on the body that's dysfunctional and not, if you will, normal, and it doesn't have to be diseased, it can just be functioning like a strained muscle, as an example, and you touch that muscle and muscle test the arm strength will change immediately. If it's normal, the arm strength remains strong. But if it's abnormal, it weakens. So we're able to really ask the body anywhere, what is the normal function here? Is it yes or no? And it is as consistent as anything you could ask for. I trust the body's honesty much more than people's own stories. So there's always a way to find truth in truth in people's health. So anyway, it keeps us all honest, is what I say.
Right.
Yeah.
So what percentage of the time would you say that pain in, say in the back or the legs is actually referred, as opposed to and wait a minute, didn't you tell me that it can be referred the other way as well, so that if you have problems with your gut, you might have a joint issue?
Correct. So what we all learn in medical school, chiropractic school, all the professional schools, is that this is neurology 101. And we know that organs refer pain. And I should probably offer the most classic of all organ-referred pain. If you have a heart condition and you have pain to the left chest and also extending into the left arm or jaw, something like that, we know that everybody that has those kinds of symptoms, it's as serious as a heart attack. So we recognize that these things exist. What we don't put a lot of emphasis on is that every organ refers pain. And sadly, we've been trained to think that the heart is the only one that's that important. But people who have an appendicitis attack will have a classic kind of pain response to that. Anything that occurs to the diaphragm can classically refer pain to the neck and shoulders. But the one that we've all experienced, and I just find it just absolutely fascinating, is that we've all woken up with a very stiff neck from sleeping at night. And, well, quote, we all say the same things. We say this phrase, well, I must have slept on it wrong. And yet, when you think about putting your head on your pillow and sleeping, I don't know about you, but I put my head on the pillow pretty much the same way every night. And I don't purposely try to move my shoulder around or put it in an odd position, so I'm going to wake up with a soreness the next day. So what I did was I took about 8 people that came in with this condition. We classically call it a cervical torticollis, would be the clinical name for it. So this cervical torticollis is what's the term for it. And I started looking at where else in the body was abnormal. And what I found through my infrared technology as well as my palpation and muscle testing, they had a diaphragm on the same side of neck pain that was in distress on every single case. So I started thinking, why would that explain it? And what I found was the diaphragm has a nerve that comes from the neck. It's called the phrenic nerve. Phrenic nerve. So that phrenic nerve will get the distress from the diaphragm, send it up the nerve into the neck, and then we call the motor nerves that extend out from the neck, go into the shoulder, and create, if you will, this spasm to our neck and upper back. So that's the simple explanation of really why we have, quote, I slept on it wrong kind of neck, because it's really a diaphragm spasm that's referred to. So I will.
So if you were to use the, I was going to ask, if you were to use the tape, would you put it on the diaphragm or on the neck?
And that exactly was where I was going with it. So what we're finding is that you can disrupt that relay system by putting it on both places.
Huh.
Yeah. So it's been quite effective for that. Oops, here's our music.
Here's our music. Well, we have just one segment left, so stay with us, and we will be right back with Dr. Dean Clark.
Bringing you the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio, your conscious lifestyle on steroids. Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
Join me, Maggie Chula, on Mondays at noon Eastern for Mastermind with Maggie. Let's work together in a mastermind. We can resolve life's problems and create goals for the future. Build action steps empowering you to create your life in partnership with your divine source of light, your soul. Manifesting your goals can be simple and easy, so come with your problems and leave with a plan. The Akashic Master Teachers and I are waiting to help you.
Today, my new dad threw a barbecue.
I burnt everything.
And then we played catch.
I broke Mr. Lewis's window. And then, somehow, my hand. My hand!
And then my dad even let me drive his car.
The hospital's on the right! It was a rough day.
It was a great day.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are. For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back. I'm wondering whether our listeners are aware of the nature of homeopathy, how homeopathy actually used to be a central or go-to kind of medicine before drugs became so popular. How does it work? I mean, it really goes into the whole nature of energy medicine. But how do you envision it working, Dr. Clark?
Well, of course, this has long been debated about its ability, but in many ways, this tape product that I've had the fortune of creating has the same qualities that sometimes can't always be explained by science, but we're going to offer the best theories at this point. There is within every cell receptors and transmitters, and these cell qualities are ones that not only keep the cell alive, but also are a constant source of energy to the body. And if it's theorized that if you were to take all of the cellular energy and capsulize it and put it into one, if you will, kind of massive amount of energy all at once, then it would be stronger than a lightning bolt. And that was fascinating to me to think that we have that much energy within us. And yet Western medicine measures these same electromagnetic energies every single day in the form of a CAT scan, an MRI, a EEG, electroencephalograph, and an EMG, electromyography. So all of these Western medicine measurements, tools, to measure the vital response of the body are clearly in our, if you will, our consciousness, and yet are ignored when it comes to this level of treatment. And it's one of those conditions where we just have a different attitude in this country about energy and the power of it. So getting back to a cellular response, we'll oftentimes find that the mitochondria of each cell is the battery pack, and it's oftentimes theorized that this battery pack is what's influenced by the energies that are transmitted and received. So when you have a battery pack that's shut down, and let's take cancer as an example, you have a body and its cell quality that is diminished severely, that if you can restore that is why, in theory, many people are being healed with these different energies that have long been thought, it's still on the fringe of science, but it's actually been more in existence than Western medicine for, if you will, since man walked the earth. So that's the theory behind life.
I think anyone who has an electric toothbrush, for example, has seen the phenomenon of inductive charging. I mean, it's this transmitting of electricity and charge across a distance. So I think technologically we can wrap our minds around it. And at the end of the day, the proof in the pudding. The proof of the pudding is in the fact that it works, and it works amazingly well. And that's exactly why I wanted to get it out and get you on our show. So this type is so incredibly effective. Why doesn't everyone know about it?
Well, in your since you've seen me in my clinic and you've experienced, if you will, the day-to-day life, we have a great culture, and now where we have the internet and so much information out there that could be utilized for the good of humanity, and that's really where I'm coming from. But to get a message out and to, if you will, have the masses understand it, is not an easy process, even though we've got all these advantages now we didn't used to. So word of mouth is important. Your graciousness in having me on today is important. So I think those are our big challenges, as well as then the society and culture saying, you know what, I am ready to try something that I would have never tried before, just because I'm now got enough information I can make a logical choice. That sounds like it would work, and why not try it rather than our classic, well, I've been taking over-the-counter meds for all these years, and I can control my pain. and I can get by another day. So that's I think our challenge. I'm open to your ideas as well.
Well, anyone listening, I would suggest that you ask your medical practitioner if they have heard about it. Refer them to Dr. Clark's website, bolttape.com, and get them to order it. Or, I suppose, can people order it directly through your website?
They can, yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would dearly love to get it into the hands of just about every health practitioner on the planet. What is the price point?
Right now, we are selling the product for a package of 10. It is listed on the website for $34.95, and basically the thought behind that, if you're going to wear each strip of tape for approximately 3 to 5 days, that you would have pain relief for a month for around $34, which would be a little over $1 a day for pain relief. So that was where it is at
no
this
side
point.
effects.
and no side effects. Yes. Yeah.
Well, if anybody wants to help Dr. Clark get his product either into local markets, can they contact you through the website?
They may, and I am happy to offer my office number here in Portland, and I have a great staff who could field those calls as well, and we could get them called back. But you're right, I'm looking for distributorship, and there's nothing like the power of the word of mouth, and there is many products and many changes that have occurred in the culture of health just from people a small group who decided, this is worth spreading the word, and history has pointed us to those successes, and it's wonderful, and that's why we are the country that we are, and there's greatness that we all want to experience. But oh gosh, if you're laden and burdened by pain, then it affects everything.
It sure does. I had a hip replacement a few years ago, and the before and after was absolutely life-changing. There's nothing that saps your life force more than chronic pain. So this is really the work of the angels, literally and figuratively. So well done. Do you have any further developments in mind?
Oh, great question. We'll get back to the phone number to call.
No, let's give it, and then we'll put it on the website as well. What's the phone number?
Okay, great. It is area code 503 244 3389.
Okay, 503-244-3389. So
correct.
What do you have in store?
Okay. Well, of course, once you start down the path of energy medicine and you start seeing there can be things that you can get the body to change and to recover, there is energies and frequencies that you can, if you will, signal the body to change to, if you will, the proper response. So in prototype currently are several other products. I have a product for this product, of course, the first product is for pain. My next product that's already out is for sinus and nasal congestion. So this is smaller strips. There's different energies in it than Bolt Tape, and the whole design of it was to help the body work as a natural decongestant and open up sinuses and or nasal passages for an immediate response.
My husband tried it, and I can tell you he stopped snoring.
And that's exactly the goal of that product. Will it stop everybody from snoring? Well, probably not. But it's effective for all those people who have congestion at night that don't have sleep apnea or some other kind of problem like that. But it's not designed for sleep apnea, but I think there's so many sleep apnea problems that are really due to chronic congestion, and it can certainly help them. And then there's at least 3 to 4 other products. One is for energy, overall energy. Another tape product that I'm currently working on is for pet applications, dogs, cats, horses, goats, pigs. So all the vertebrates respond basically to the same energy fields that we do. And then there is an interest I've long held for just overall performance. So that's mainly the energy source. Currently, this one, the current Bolt tape for pain works to help with performance of muscle contraction, but the next one will be for overall energy, and all the energy drinks that are out there. I hope to change all of that and give people a much healthier alternative.
Oh, wow. Well, bless you, Dr. Clark, and bless your work. Dr. Dean Clark. His number is 503-244-3389. He's the creator of Bolt Tape, and you can find out more at bolttape.com. Thank you so much for being with us today.
It has been a big pleasure.
It's all my pleasure, and I hope you'll join us next week, and thank you for listening. I'm Miriam Knight for New Consciousness Review, and do visit our website, ncreview.com. In the meantime, have a blessed week. Goodbye.